All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. I hope everybody is doing well tonight. Tonight, we're going to pick up where we left off last time and hopefully finish up our custom language parser. We made some pretty decent progress last time, and I really think that it's just a matter of sort of debugging through the code and figuring that stuff out. And I figure that's somewhat valuable to watch in terms of how we're going to go about debugging this and so forth. So we're going to keep on that and hopefully be able to successfully parse this scene format tonight and build out an actual tree of objects from it, of objects and properties of those objects and things like that. And then maybe even move on to serialization and deserialization. So we'll see where we kind of wind up with that. Okay. So with all that said, I do want to take just a quick second and thank the supporters of the channel, starting with the partners who are the highest tier of subscription over on YouTube memberships and Patreon. They are Gabby Bashir and Gerbolis Inc. I would also like to thank all the other supporters listed here on the screen. They are a combination of Twitch subscriptions, YouTube memberships, and Patreon subscriptions on the other levels. So thank you all very much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. That being said, I do appreciate each and every one of you viewers who is either on the Twitch side or the YouTube side, and I point this way because that's where I have the chats. We are simulcasting, so I do keep an eye on both. So if you guys have any questions or just want to chime in, have a conversation, that's cool. This is an interactive stream. I encourage that kind of thing. So with all that said, I think it's probably safe to go ahead and jump into some code. I do want to take a quick second because I've been meaning to do this, and I don't do it quite often enough. I do also want to give out a shout out to Pirate Software, who is the one who has graciously allowed us to use the music that is in this stream and every stream that you hear. It's from his game Heartbound. So if you do exclamation point music, you will see some more information about that. But definitely shout out to him because it's a great looking non-traditional RPG, and I'm super excited to play the final version of it when it comes out. So definitely check him out if you haven't heard of him, although I'm sure you probably have. Okay, Apotham, how's it going? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing all right tonight. Okay, so one thing that TCAP actually pointed out the other day to me that would have made this a whole hell of a lot easier is something that I want to kind of get in there into our tokens. So I'm going to peek definition on this guy. And we sort of have Yak and Shears. Hello, how's it going? So we sort of have this start and end of our tokens, right? And we have a token type. So this basically gives us the start and end of the string from the original file, right? But something that would be a lot easier to deal with would be if we did I guess we could make a const. If we had a const character pointer to the content, right? And so this obviously takes space that we don't actually need in order to process the token and whatnot. So we are going to do an if-def, and we're going to do k debug. I think it was k debug, right? And then end if, right? Was it k underscore debug or k debug? I can't remember now. Let me go look at defines. Let's see. It might have actually been on the platform too. Oh, kdebug is actually the name of our logger. So was it k underscore debug? I thought we had defined. I thought we had defined something to represent that. Did we not? Did I remove it by accident? Let's see. We do have asserts here. We're just using the standard debug there. And it looks like we're using... Yeah, I guess we're just using underscore debug wherever. I suppose we could do that. I don't really like that, though. We should probably define our own debug symbols, right? I feel like that's probably going to be the way to go. So let's go down to... I guess we'll go... it should probably be towards the top, I think, actually. I'm surprised we don't have that in here, to be completely honest. So after all of the KAPI stuff, we'll do it right here. So we'll say if def debug. Then we're going to say define kdebug. I guess we'll say k underscore debug and f. Or maybe we should say Kohi debug, right? Because that'll separate it out from release, right? And then maybe we'll do an else, and then we'll define Kohi release, right? And that's not necessarily the only two builds that we're ever going to have, but that's one way we can do it. So we have that. Let's go back here, and we're going to call this, we're going to say Kohi debug, which is what we're currently using, right? So we're only going to allow this in debug builds. And the advantage there is we won't have to do all the processing that we're going to do to handle this sort of content in the token otherwise. So we could just if-def it out, and all that stuff becomes no-ops in release builds. Ruche, thank you for the, what emote is that one? Onigiri cheer, nice. Doing good, ordered the game engine architecture last night, gets here on Friday, hope everything is going well for you as well. The book, yes, it's an excellent book. I think it's very information dense, but it's also high enough level that it provides a good overview of engine architecture, right? And so I definitely recommend that book to a lot of people because it's excellent. It's an excellent resource. I still have it on my shelf, and I reference it all the time. So, good stuff. I wish I made a commission off of it. I've recommended it that many times. All right, so in the case in parser, when we are creating our token, let's see. Token. I think we have. Let's go here. So whenever we're creating a token and pushing it, let's see. There's a few different ways we're doing this, right? So I guess whenever we do push current token, maybe that's when we assign it. I think that makes sense. So let's go to definition on this, and we'll say if it's not an unknown type, before we push that token, we will say current token dot content equals string duplicate. Right, and yes, I realize we're duplicating a string here, right? Yes, that's more memory and all that stuff, but it's going to be debug only. So it's not really that big of a deal. In release, this will be faster because we're not going to do all this, right? So what we're going to do is actually, we should probably do, let's set up a buffer. So let's do a character array buffer. And we'll make it like, I don't know, I can't see a token ever being like bigger than 512, right? So we'll make it 512 characters. We'll do a string mid, right? It's going to wind up being, oh, we don't have current token, do we? Or we don't have the, I guess source would be available from where we're calling it. So we want to go to buffer. We want to use source. The start is going to be the current token start. And then the length is going to be current token end minus current token start. Okay. Let's see. And then we also need to make sure to put our backslashes here, right? And then we can do string duplicate buffer. And that should give us everything that we need, I believe. I forget, does string mid, does that actually, does string mid terminate the string for us? Yes, it does. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so we do string mid into the character buffer, and then we duplicate what's in that character buffer into the content, right? And then we go ahead and we push the string. Why is... Didn't I already add this? Right? Should be that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have this. And then also, in the middle of this, we are going to say if def Kohi debug. Then we'll go ahead and do this. Otherwise, we won't do it. Right? Let's see. Can you stack them that way? Is not followed by a macro parameter. I don't know if I can do that, actually. So maybe we put another macro in there. Like maybe we turn all of this into a macro and call it instead. Probably be less messy, honestly. Let's do that. So we'll take this, put it here. Let me catch up with chat really quickly. Putting an if-def in a struct seems weird to me. I guess it wouldn't cause real problems, but my instinct tells me there could be subtle bugs between builds. There shouldn't be, though, right? Because I'm going to make sure that, and also, actually, if anything, it's going to prevent bugs, because that member won't actually be available unless we're doing a debug build. So we should be good, right? Because we aren't dealing with any like sort of tightly packed data where we're doing anything that relies heavily on the size of it or anything like that. Other than the D-array stuff that we do, but the size of it will change anyways based on it being a debug build. So we should be good. Okay, so let's do define. And I guess we'll call this populate current token content. Right, and so we'll have that. And then else. this essentially becomes a no-op. Oops, wrong one. Did I get that right? Yes. Okay. So then we should just be able to put populate current token content here. And it's missing the backslash there and the backslash here. There. Okay. So this way, this becomes a no-op, right? We don't do anything here in this case. That makes sense, because we do push this current token. I don't think we're doing this anywhere in line down here in code anymore, so we'll have to verify that. But whenever we push the token, we go ahead and do this operation, which I suppose I should probably scope that off just to be safe. Actually, I don't need one there, or do I? Need one here. There. Taman, how's it going? Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. I'm doing well. So tonight we are going to try and tie up the loose ends on our parser, but I'm adding a little bit of debuggability to it. So in debug modes, basically what we're doing is whenever we do a debug build, I should say, we are adding some string content to our tokens, just so we can kind of look and see what they actually contain. So the way that we're doing that is we are take a look at this guy. Whenever we are doing a debug build, let me clear highlights. Whenever we're doing a debug build, we include an extra content variable in the case and token, right? So that way we basically take the start and the end, and we use that to fill out the content through a series of macros. Those macros are up here, right? So whenever we push a current token, we also call this populate current token content. And so this populate current token content is defined as this function right here whenever we're doing a debug build, and then otherwise it is a no-op. It essentially just does nothing. So thank you for the sub, by the way. I appreciate that. Ads reminded you to resub. Nice. Did you get pre-roll ads again? Because those are supposed to be off. Doclock, good to see you. Welcome. How's it going? Good to see you. Hope everything's going well for you. All right. So now that we have that, we just have to make sure that whenever we are pushing a token, that we're basically not pushing into this array anywhere else, which I could probably just reasonably search for. darray push parser tokens right there, just like that, right? So it does look like we have a couple darray push parser tokens. So we've got 15 spots actually. Okay, so we're basically wherever we're not pushing the current token, we're doing this. So we're going to actually have to wrap all of these things in a macro as well, which I suppose does make sense. David 2C, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. You got ads when you joined the stream. You can't turn those ones off. I think you can reduce them, but I don't think you can completely. Yeah, you can completely eliminate them, actually. At least, unless that's changed. It should be like in the ad settings. Let me see something really quickly. Where is that? So it should be. Yeah, see, this is what's weird. Let me take a screenshot of this. So this is the setting I have, right? Disable pre-roll ads when I run ads. So I guess maybe until the first ad break you get them is the only thing I can think of. But it's supposed to be like 30-second ad break equals 10, up to 3-minute ad break equals 1 hour pre-roll. And yeah, so I don't know. Maybe they change it around. I'm not sure. It might be because I haven't run an ad break yet. Yeah, I don't see anything else in here that would... Yeah, I don't see anything else in here that would actually do that. So that's really weird. It must just be the fact that the first set of ads haven't run yet. Very strange. Disables the automatic ones, but I think they still force out ads on the initial joins. Maybe. Yeah, if that's the case, lame. I did wind up getting Twitch Turbo. Just because it also allows my VODs to stay up a little bit longer. So I can't actually see what it does anymore. All right. So whenever we are openly pushing into this array, we should probably have like, I think all we need is actually just the token itself. So let's do one more of these. And actually, we're gonna do something a little bit better here. So we're gonna have a push token, right? That's going to take a token, right? And so we'll be able to say token type. Let's see. Populate current token contents. So let's actually change this one up so that it takes a token as well. So we'll do T here. We'll change these to T. All right. One more. And then in populate current token, for this one, actually it should just be populate token content. Let's just rename that so it makes a little bit more sense. So populate token content. In this case, it's going to be T. And then we push T. And then down here, we have push current token, which is going to call. It's actually just, I think I can do all this on one line. So we're just going to do push token, current token. Right? So we could just use the same code path on all of that. So that way, push current token will just stay in place like it is now, and then wherever we're doing this DArray push to parser tokens, we can just replace that with actually, I think I can literally just do a find and replace on this. So DArray push parser tokens. We'll include the space on that as well. And then we'll do push token, open parenthesis. And we'll do a global on that. Right? So that should have covered it. The only thing that I'm going to have to do is up here in our actual... Oh, it looks like push current token got screwed up. Yeah, so up here, this actually has to be put back to a D-array. Push. And then we'll say, what was it? Parser tokens. Perfect. All right. So, that should be a lot better. Push current token, that should have fixed all of those issues, so we should be good as far as that's concerned. Let's see. Terry Davis Media, I tried. What did you try? From Lake, how's it going? Good to see you. Is this the 5th episode on the parser? Yeah, probably. Well, technically not, really, because the first episode of it, we didn't really land on the fact that we needed like a custom language parser. And technically we also spent some time making the tokenizer, and now we're on the parser. So I originally wasn't going to split them up into separate steps, but I decided to. And I figured this is also probably a useful thing to deep dive on, right? All right, so now we should have our... tokens, right? And I'm not even going to bother destroying these just yet, right? We just want to see if this works. So let's go ahead and build. It's going to be rebuild everything because I changed defines. It's interesting. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. At least you get revenue both ways, I imagine. Yeah, fair enough. Let's see. I missed that notification as to what it was. I think it was something on the YouTube side, but it doesn't give me what that was. I'm not sure if that was a follow or a sub. It doesn't actually tell me, which is lame. Let's see, is there a way to... Yeah, YouTube doesn't seem to actually give me like a display. Of like events and stuff. So I have a feeling I missed something over there on the YouTube side. Sorry about that. I'm going to have to look into that, right? And see if I can't figure out what that was. It was the Pikachu, yeah. Yeah, but that pops up for both Twitch and YouTube, and I don't see anything over on Twitch that would have triggered it. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like... Oh, you just subbed on YouTube. Okay, I see what it is. Well, thank you for that, Heath. I appreciate that. Yeah, unfortunately, if I don't happen to see it like out of the corner of my eye, it doesn't actually tell me... Oh, wait a minute. Viewer activity, maybe? Nope. Yeah, YouTube's like interface doesn't actually tell me that stuff, I don't think. Unfortunately. Unless I'm missing something, but I really don't see it. Anyway. Let's see. Double support for the channel. I appreciate that, Tammin. Struggling to find motivation to work on my engine again. I have so many cool ideas, but I can't sit down and work on anything. Yeah, so what that is analysis paralysis, my friend. So what I usually do in that situation when I have like a bunch of different ideas that I want to work on, I sit down and I open like a Google Doc or something like that, and I write everything that's on my mind down. Get it written down. Even sometimes I'll start speccing it out, just so that I don't lose the idea. And then it's literally an object of picking one, right? And starting to work on it and seeing if you like it. The only thing is like if you are still needing to build your engine to power that stuff, then Yeah, that can be a little bit harder to overcome, unfortunately. But at the very least, write it down, get it out of your head so it's not banging around in there, you know? Because I get stuff like that all the time, and it's not the easiest thing to overcome. So I've found, at least if I get it out of my head, then I have an easier time like moving on and working on the stuff that I need to. Also, maintain a to-do list on your game engine and actively cross things out. Like make accomplishable goals. Don't be like add PBR. You know, break it out into steps and cross those things out. It serves as great motivation. One of the things is reworking the basic infrastructure of the engine. Oof, yeah. We've done that here. I get it. I definitely get it. The other thing I get is ads. Because we have ads, because of the Bezos. So, every 30 minutes for 90 seconds, or up to 90 seconds, I should say, on the Twitch side, we are served ads. And so I like to just pause the stream so that nobody misses anything, because it is a programming stream, and it sucks to miss content on that. So I know that the YouTube side works a little bit differently. So I usually encourage folks to take this time to hydrate. And I also put a timer on the screen so that you guys know exactly how long it's going to be before we come back. From like, that's a good idea as well. Yep. Whiteboards go a long way. 100%. And you can use that for like pros and cons too, right? All right. So we got about 30 seconds left. Want to be able to export a game at any time? Yeah, exactly. That's refactoring is one of the worst things about programming, but I program in a way where I pretty much make it mandatory. I think that's all of us, Apotham. Yeah, you're not alone on that for sure. Working standalone EXE, I mean, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, refactoring is one of the best and worst things about programming, for sure. Because I think we all program in a way that pretty much makes it mandatory at some point that you're going to refactor, right? But I don't know. Sometimes if I don't know what direction I want to move forward, sometimes I'll pick something and just refactor it in the meantime and sometimes that'll help me settle on an idea as well. Get the full workflow working at any time. That's the ultimate goal. Exactly. Yep. And we're not even that far along here either, right? All right. So we have that built. Let's pull this guy in. And I think we actually had some, tests. Yes, we had some tests. So I'm just going to run this real fast. We haven't actually done any changes to our parser, but let's see. The array resize called on an array with 0 capacity. This should not be possible. Ooh, that sounds like a fun one. Okay, so we might have foobarred something with our tokenized file content. Okay, so in our... Oh, the tokenization was successful. So it looks like the parsing is what failed. But let's take a look at the tokens in here. In fact, I think I actually had, yeah. So if we take a look at our tokens, now we should have in the content, like we have a new line. We see the new line there. We have an identifier. We can see the identifier right there, right? That'll just make it a lot easier when we're looking at each of these tokens to see what the heck is going on, right? Operator minus, right? Operator dot. That's pretty self-explanatory. Numeric literal, right? We just have a 2 there. New line, here's another identifier, right? So we can actually see exactly what the heck is going on, right? So our runtime code will just use the start and end to deduce these things, but the content here, I suppose I could have called it debug content, right? But whatever. That'll just be very helpful for us when we're actually debugging, right? So like our last identifier is foo all the way down here at the bottom, right? So we have this, let's see, I think it was parsers. Yeah, this is the test scene, right? So this is our last identifier down here. So I'm pretty confident that that's working correctly. So at least we've got a little bit better debuggability. Now, let's have a look at our actual parsing code and see what the heck is going on here. Godudis, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Welcome. My last commit was 3 months ago. One thing I want to get into is having at least a commit per day, even if it's renaming a variable, but keep visual progress and boost motivation. That's not a bad idea. And I always suggest that you commit often, right? Work on feature branches and commit often. Normally when I'm working offline, I commit a lot more than I do here on stream, only because you guys don't need to watch me do a bunch of commits, right? Usually when I get up to a phase of something working, I'll commit. And then, if I have to break a stream or whatever, I'll commit as well. But yeah, commit often. That does help with motivation as well, for sure. And like I said, a to-do list that you can cross things off on is a huge help as well. So where are we? So current object properties. Okay, so that type is rubbish, right? So it looks like we might have some sort of corruption going on here. Maybe we're trampling something. So let's see. Let's look at this property here. So oh, interesting. So it looks like, are we literally on the last token? Not the last token, but we're on the last identifier, and that's where we crashed. That's interesting. So current object properties. Why would that be rubbish? We'll have to see. Pocket Watch with a raid of 17. Thank you so much for the raid. How are you doing tonight? What were you getting up to on your stream? Shout out to Pocket Watch if you're not already following them. Definitely go over and check their stream out. Making a game called Monaco 2. What's it about? What kind of game is it? The name sounds familiar to me for some reason. I think I might have looked this up at one other point. I think I looked it up on... The first one was on Steam, right? Co-op heist game. Sequel to Monaco, What's Yours Is Mine from 2013. Okay. Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, that's a really neat name, for sure. Well, that's awesome. Let me see. I am following you. Okay, I thought so. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I watched you the other day. Won the IGF back in 2010, long time ago. That's awesome, though. It's a nice thing to have on your belt, right? Very, very cool. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for the raid. I will give my quick and dirty introduction here. We're in the middle of actually writing a custom language parser for my game engine called Kohi. So this is a game engine that we're writing completely from scratch using C and Vulkan as our initial rendering backend. It's cross-platform, so it runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux for now. It is completely open source, completely free, so there will never be any sort of royalty fees, licensing fees, none of that stuff of any kind ever. It will always be 100% free. It is available on GitHub. It is Apache 2.0 licensed. So if you use it, whether it's personal use, commercial use, I don't care. All I ask is that you say you used it, right? That's literally all the Apache license asks, is that you just say you used it. That's literally it. So we've been working on it now for a couple of years, and it initially started as a YouTube tutorial series, and then we eventually changed a few different the format a few different times, landed on the live streaming format, and that's what we're doing now. So we've been live streaming this for about a year now, a little over a year, I think, and it's worked out pretty well, I think. And so the website there is kohiengine.com. I'll drop a link in the chat. And that is where you can find all of this information. So we got the YouTube, Twitch. We have a Discord that's got about, I think, around 850 people on it or so at the moment. Links to GitHub, the Patreon, that kind of stuff. Also, the stream is here at the bottom, so I can wave to myself, and it just, waves in perpetuity. But yeah, that is more or less what we are working on. So what we're doing right now is we are actually debugging a custom parser. So we've split this up into two halves. We're developing right now it's like a storage format, and we're calling it KSON because it's very similar to JSON, except with a few minor differences. So this is what the format looks like right now, and we already have a tokenizer written to break up this file into tokens, and now we are parsing those tokens to actually...
LSP when?
Awesome. The TTS there. KSON LSP when. I mean, when either I get the time to develop it or somebody in the community does. That'd be... I mean, I think theoretically, once the parser and tokenizer are complete, we might actually be able to use that to write the LSP, believe it or not. We'll have to see. Thank you also for the resub, Diamond, for 4 months. I appreciate that. Do you have a list of games made with Kohi? I do, and that list is 0 at the moment because it's a game engine in its infancy. So I am the only one working on this. It's a project that I've taken on, and as such, I work on it in my spare time after work and so forth. I do have a full-time job, and so it's not going to be something that's going to compete with the likes of Unreal or Unity or something like that. But my plan with this, and we're actually almost to that point, is once we hit certain points and certain sets of features in this, we are actually going to be developing games and releasing games with this engine. So we're actually almost to the point where we're going to be releasing the first game on this engine, or making it. And then, as we add features and more complexity to the engine, editor, things like that, we will continue releasing games for it, right? So it's kind of a eating your own dog food type of thing where we're not only going to be making a game engine, but we're also going to be making games with that game engine. So that's kind of the process. This is designed to be an educational resource, right? So it's a way to build a game engine. It's not the only way, not even necessarily always the right way to do it. But we like to do deep dives into things here, explore, try different things, see what works, what doesn't, analyze it, that kind of thing. And I'm basically looking to create the resource that I wish I had when I was learning how to do this stuff initially. So this is an educational resource, like I said, but that being said, none of the content is ever paywalled at all, either on my YouTube channel or anywhere else, right? So all the Patreon stuff, that's all purely optional, because I believe this education should be free. And so while I appreciate the support, none of it's going to ever be locked behind a paywall, ever. So that is the spiel, as it were. I'm getting faster at saying it. Magets, hello, how's it going? Tried to keep the eyes open for the stream, but I still managed to miss a good chunk of it. No worries, Magets. It's late for you there, isn't it? So yeah, that's pretty much the answer to the games question is 0 at the moment, but soon we are going to be starting the first one. What is an LSP? Yeah, it's a language server. Specifically, it's a language server protocol. So it's something that NeoVim uses, VS Code uses it, and it's basically what provides syntax highlighting, formatting, things like that. So eventually, when we want syntax highlighting, we'll probably wind up writing an engine to handle that at some point. And if I do it as a language server, then theoretically it could be used both on VS Code and NeoVim if I do it right. Let's see. Question I had wanted to ask a while ago. I've been following your tutorials and making my own engine. Awesome. Due to the fact that I'm following a lot of the code looks very similar, does that come under Apache 2.0? How does the license work? Yeah, so the Apache 2.0 basically just says, if you use it, just say you used it, right? You could very just easily put in there in your license, either inspired by Kohi, or you could say based off the series, the Kohi series, or something like that, right? Just a little blurb in there, like a single line, and that's it. Literally, that's all it is. Supe, how's it going? Welcome, bud. Good to see you. I was glad I was able to hop into your stream earlier. IntelliSense, essentially, Taman. Yep. That's what an LSP is for. Yep. It's for that as well. Yeah. Stretch Redeem, thank you for that. Ooh, my shoulder popped. Interesting. Cool. All right. I think I caught up on chat finally. It is late for you, Magats. I thought so. Yeah. Let me go over here to the YouTube side. Speaking about my Jack of all trades comment and your short. Oh, I did see that, by the way. Yep. I have a link to your GitHub that was kind of a map to all different kinds of dedicated books for game dev. Yes, I think I know which one you're talking about. I don't recall it, but I think it's buried somewhere in my bookmarks. But yes, if you would want to drop that somewhere, I would say head over to the Discord server and drop it on there. Because I'm sure some folks would definitely find that useful, if you wouldn't mind. From Lake, see you later. Have a good one. Axorus, hey, what's going on, man? Still working on Kaysen. Yep. Yeah, so we added some debuggability to our language here. So we basically added the string content to each one of our tokens so we can actually see what our tokens are represented like in code. Cool, thanks, Germs. I appreciate that. Yeah, so where were we? We were here. So we were basically debugging our parser. So we've got our tokenizer working. And so to give you an idea of what that looks like, it basically takes this file here and breaks it up into a series of tokens, right? So when I say tokens, there's things like an identifier, which is like the name of a variable. And then you have like an equals token, which is like an assignment operator, a negative sign, which could be either a minus or a negative, dot operator, numeric literal, string literals, comments, open brackets, open curly braces. So essentially this denotes an array, this denotes an object, and then each of these are properties within that object. The properties themselves can be other objects or arrays of objects, etc., etc., etc. And so we're just kind of stepping through the process of actually interpreting the tokenized version of this. So what the tokenized version of that is it's a flat list of tokens. So you can see here the very first thing that we have is a new line token, which seems a little bit weird, right? But we skip comments, right? So if you figure that a line comment goes to the end of the line, we go up until we hit that new line, and then the new line itself is a token. So we can see here that the new line, we have a start position and an end position in the entire string of this file. And then we actually have the string content, which is a debug-only property, right? So we can actually see what the content of that token is. If we look at this identifier, we see here that we have test prop, which is the very first thing here, followed by an equal sign, right? Followed by a minus dot numeric literal new line identifier. We even tokenize the white space, right? So if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we've got a number of these tokens for this file. And I think the last one here was, let's see. So we have this identifier foo, which is all the way here at the bottom, right? So it's foo, and then white space, operator equal, white space, numeric literal, and that's 32, right? And then after that is the end of the file, which is actually one more token that I don't think, did we have that represented in here? Yeah, it's actually, I would have to make this 121. Right, so if we take a look at that, all the way down here at the bottom, oh, there's a new line first, and then there's an end of file. So I need one more. End of file, right there, right? So the end of file is literally just nothing, right? It's essentially the null terminator of the string. So that's essentially what we have. Been delaying getting access to an Xbox developer account because I saw the wrong pricing on the site. It's way cheaper than you imagined, almost 10 times cheaper. What were you looking at? Like the cost of a dev kit or something? All right. So for some reason, our current property, which is all the way at the end, is foo. So let's see. We have tokenized file contents, and then we do a parse, and we are on an identifier. And for some reason at this point, with the identifier, current object, we create a D array with properties. And for some reason, the data from that is just completely screwed. And so I'm not sure 100% what happened. So I might have to like debug and kind of figure out what the heck is going on. Certain, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Welcome. So let's see. We obviously have had identifiers up to this point. What is the current token? Current token is an identifier with foo, right? So that's not the issue. Why then? This is a list of case and properties. And we literally do the creation of that array right here. So I guess, how do we want to do? Saying an array with 0 capacity, this should not be possible. So actually, what we really need to do, I'm guessing that's probably where it failed. In fact, let's actually see what causes us to hit this breakpoint. So right here, that should have actually killed the application. I'm not sure why it didn't. I'm going to relaunch this and see. And see what's going on here. So run this. Interesting. So now it's failing on a string mid, which is weird. Supe, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate the support. You were looking at enterprise values, $99, but on another page, typical MSDN, there's a table with local prices, and doing the conversion, it would be like $10. Oh, yeah, it's a huge difference. I wonder how Web GPU gets away with seemingly single instances of dynamic resources per frame use. Tried to ask this from ChatGPT, but answers were very shallow and non-technical. That's not terribly surprising. Oh, Shadowcat, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub. Thank you for that. And you guys started a hype train. Appreciate that. Thank you for the support. Means a lot. All right. So why the heck? what is this bleating about? So on access violation writing. Oh, did we not? I bet I know what this is. What's the length of this guy? 6. And the start is 339. What is the destination of this guy? String from case and token. So the length is only 6. We do length plus 1. That should have worked. Token start. 339 for 6 characters. Weird. And it looks like it did it, but it's like it failed at the mid for some reason. So start plus length. Why would that fail? It failed writing this, which is very, very odd. I feel like I haven't touched this code in like forever. So I'm just wondering if I did something. Yeah, like none of this has been touched for about a year. Start length. Source. Think about this one for a second. Because why would this, so length plus 1, so that'd have a length of 7, right? So writing to index 6 should work. And we are dynamically allocating this, so it's not like it goes out of scope either. And I know that string is long enough. Very, very strange. I'm going to try something stupid. I'm going to clean the build and rebuild it. Is destination right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Because all it is, right, it's... And the weird thing is it's been working. So I'm not sure why it's all of a sudden bleating now. Glad we were able to start a hype train. No, I appreciate it. And Shadowcat, that's actually a really good, that's a really good point. Pass it on, right? That's pretty cool. I like that idea. I think I'm going to stick with that, actually. Pay it forward, as it were. All right. Yeah, I think that hype train has got, what, 30 seconds? No, 20 seconds left. Appreciate it, guys. All right, so let me just see if the rebuild... Yeah, see, I rebuilt it and it worked. So I'm wondering if maybe just one of the compilation units need to be rebuilt. Probably because I changed the size of some scopes. Or some of the structs, right? That's probably what it was, actually. I've had that happen before. It's kind of weird. You have to clean the whole thing because for some reason the dependency manager doesn't pick it up. It's rare, but it does happen. All right, so we have the tree. And we'll have to, I guess, find a way to traverse the tree to figure out how far it got down. Because it looks like it actually parsed and did the thing this time around. Alcon Geek, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Okay, so let me move this out here. And I guess we'll do tree roots 0. So to give you an idea, the tree roots, roots is basically an array of base objects, if you will. We're always going to have one base object, and that base object contains all of these things as properties. So like these properties that exist here all get added as properties of that base object. So it's an array right now, but it probably won't be in the future, right? It'll probably just be a single root. So the first root has properties, right? And so this is the first property, this is the second property, third and fourth. And the fifth property is adds. Because we got to support the Bezos. So for those of you who are new here, we pause the stream whenever we have ads pop up so that nobody misses any content. I'd like to put a timer in the screen so that you guys know exactly how long we have on an ad break before we are done. And so with that, you guys have got about a minute left until ads are done, and then we'll continue. Perzemkov with a 6-month tier 1 subscription. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that support. That's huge. Thank you. Very much appreciated. That means a lot. All right. So we got about 20 seconds left on ads, and then we can continue. All right, cool. So for those of you who were watching ads, we do pause the stream whenever ads come up. So that's on the Twitch side, that's once every 30 minutes for 90 seconds. And I just do that so that nobody misses any content, right? And I want to say thank you again to PR Zemkov. Thank you for the 6 months of tier 1. I really appreciate the support on that. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's have a look at our properties. So it looks like the third property, or I should say the fourth property here is no bueno. That's rubbish. So let's take a look at the second one. We have an unknown property, and that's also rubbish. Okay, so we're not calculating out our properties correctly. So actually, I'm going to switch this to an array of 4 just so I can view them individually. So the number came through, right? So we have that test prop here. So we have a property type of number. If we take a look at the value for that should be a float since it's got a decimal in it, and it is negative 0.2, right? Obviously accounting for floating point rounding errors there. So that one actually looks pretty good. The next property is called properties, right? And it's actually an object. So if we take a look at properties, properties itself, we have the name parse there. The value for that is actually an object. So we'll take a look at that. This is a union, by the way. Value is a union. So that's how we're knowing what to look at there. And so we have a object inside of this. So its type is object. That makes sense. Its properties look like. So we have a first property named name. Okay. And then its value is test scene. So that's actually properly properly set up, although the property type is wrong. And so I guess actually what we need to do is take a look at tree roots properties 1, value O, properties sub. I guess we just take a look at the properties. So let's do, instead of tree, we'll do tree roots 0, properties, and then we want sub 1 of that. And let's see. We also want the, oh, did it just nuke my entire, that's annoying. If you scroll away, apparently it nukes it. That's a serious bug, VS Code. All right, let's do that to lock that in. And then we want .o for the object. And then we want its properties. And I'm just going to say that's an array of 3. So properties sub 1 dot o. Oh, it's value dot o. Dot value dot o. There we go. I still don't have that right. So it's tree roots 1, 1 value. Yep. Properties 1 value dot o. Dot properties. Yeah, that should work. What the heck? So are we saying that this is not correct then? Because it looks correct down here. Really need to make this window bigger. Let's get rid of these breakpoints and the call stack. I don't need that right now. Let's get rid of this too. So, properties. So it should be tree roots properties sub 1, which we have there. Value O. Properties. And that's just an array of properties. So the first one here is name. And the value is test scene. So why isn't it pulling up here? What did I do wrong up here? It's probably something stupid. Love watching people programming in C, despite I love C++ for its ups and downs. Yeah, I feel the same way about C sometimes. I love C, but it's not a perfect language, you know? It has its faults too. The biggest issue I have with it a lot of times is just the debug views for it are not great. So you have to do hacky crap like this to get it to work, right? I may actually have to write some code to visualize this so that I can actually see what the heck it's done. Which is annoying, but it is what it is, I suppose. So let's see. Tree roots properties 1. Value O. Oh, I wonder if that has to be a... Does that have to be a... Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, let's see. We have a few different things here. And I'm actually going to pull up the scene file over here so that we can visualize it. All right, so we have name and description in there. And interestingly, because we're looking forward, it's also finding this nodes. Okay, so yeah, this technically should be an array of 2. Let's just do that to eliminate confusion. So it hasn't picked up the type correctly, so we'll need to fix that for strings, it looks like. But it looks like it did assign the value. So we have name and test scene. And then we have description and a simple test scene yo. So that's this. All right. So that's properties. So properties was sub 1. So what is, let's take a look at properties sub 2. So properties sub 2 doesn't look right. So I guess we'll do this. And we'll have to back some of this. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave this one here and create a new one. Just so that we have let me put this one down here and change this one to properties sub 2. All right, and then dot value dot o. Take a look at that first. All right, well, that looks like it has nothing in it. So what that leads me to believe, oh, it's probably because of this bit. I don't think we're creating a new scope. So what this should technically do is for each element in the array, it should create a new unnamed property. The property could have an object as a value, or the property could have a number or a string or something like that. So I think that's probably the issue here, because it parsed it perfectly up until we got to this point. And interestingly enough, when we had set this to 3, it actually did pick up nodes, which is kind of funny. Right? There it is right there. So nodes, which is this guy. So it looks like it tacked it onto the previous values properties instead of going up in scope. So that might be the issue too. So value. Oh, look at this. It has the array in it as the value. That's interesting. And then it has... That's interesting. It has foo as the next object in it. So clearly something with the scopes is not working correctly. Doesn't ImGUI have C bindings? I believe there was some work on that. You know, I don't know. Actually, I haven't looked recently. Does it? I thought it was only C++. I think it's only C++ still. Yeah, I mean, that's not very C-like. Let's see. Officially maintained backends. Languages. Oh, third-party backends bindings wiki page. So I guess there are C bindings for it. C ImGUI. Metadata output from CImGUI can be used to automatically generate other bindings. Interesting. Dear bindings, it's an auto-generated C API wrapper. Yeah, see, that's the way I would do it, probably. Interesting. Okay, so I guess they do exist. It looks like they've got all kinds of bindings in here, actually. How long have I been programming? Technically speaking, I started when I was 7. Of course, that's not anything noteworthy, but if I were to use that, that would be 31 years. And so if I were to say how long have I been professionally programming, I started professionally programming in 2008. So, yeah, it's been a while. you don't really want to write a UI library. That's fair. It sounds like a pain, but it's a great way of understanding how they work, right? So we're gonna write a couple actually, and it is a pain, right? But we will get through it. We're starting at sort of the old school way of doing it now with things like 9 slices and stuff like that, and eventually we'll wind up using compute and things like that, and a little bit more advanced ways, more modern ways of doing it, right? Okay. I'm sure you heard about the US government calling C and C++ unsafe. Yeah, don't get me started on that. You're writing some immediate mode UI pieces, and it definitely tests your way of thinking about UI. Yeah, for sure. And I think it's worth exploring both, right? So the first UI system that we're writing is a retained mode UI, and then we're going to explore immediate mode UI as well. That article is about as useful as an internet blog, yeah. All right. So I'm thinking we have a scoping issue. Because when we hit the fact that this nodes got added to this list is what's making me think that. So I'm thinking what we need to do is break when we hit one of these tokens. And go from there. So let's see. When we do a curly brace close, we are supposed to be popping off the stack, right? And that should take the popped object off the stack and put it as the current object. I'm wondering if maybe that's not the right move. So let me just think about this for a second. So what we're doing is when we have a curly brace open, we are creating a new object, making sure the D array is created, pushing a object value onto the current property, and then we are setting the current object to the object property there, and then we are pushing the current object onto the stack. So that means when we create this object gets pushed onto the stack. And becomes the current object. But when we pop off the stack, the popped value is going to be that same thing. Yeah, that's the problem. So when we pop this off the stack, we're setting it as the current object, and that's not right. So what we should do is throw that away. Let's see. The stack is for... Did I stop this? Yeah, here we go. So when we do I'm in the tokenizer because we were showing that before. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So this is fine to push onto the stack and say that's the current scope. I don't have an issue with that. The issue is here. And I wasn't sure that this was right when I was doing it. So the stack itself, I think, is just a stack of pointers. So we have the base object, we push that on there. We create the stack. Did we ever push the base onto the stack? I don't think we did. So we create the stack, but we never actually pushed, we never did this. That would have been an issue too. So we need the scope and the element data, which is going to be the address of base object. So we need that. We also should check to see if that fails for some reason. Failed to push base object to stack. Onto, should be onto stack. All right, and we're just gonna return false for that for now. All right, so we do that, but then since that's a stack of pointers, we'll say KSON object, and we'll say popped object. We'll 0, and we'll do popped object, right? And then after we do that, peek the next object on the stack and make it the current object, right? So that should be stack peek, right? So the address of scope and now we want the address of current object, right? And we will check that, make sure it doesn't fail. Failed to peek scope stack. Return false. Right, and I'm fully aware, by the way, that we're not cleaning up before these return falses. I'll worry about that once we get it working, right? I just want to get it working for now. Okay, so we need to do that for curly brace closes. And then we also need to do pretty much the same thing, if not exactly the same thing, on bracket close. I think it's pretty much the exact same thing. Let me just see. So we basically just need to pop the object off of there, but we throw it away. We don't need it anymore. And then current object, yeah. So let's build that. Folks of Why Don't You Use Rust won this round. Did they, though? Did they? Oh, Diamond, can you drop that link again and I'll allow it through this time? It expired. I didn't see it before it did. There it goes. I guess it let it through this time. Cool. Rust lobbyists corrupting governments. Yeah, right. No kidding. Just looked 100% and 100% looks really good. Or are you talking about nuclear? How did you choose the name Kohi? It's not anything terribly complicated. I am a lover of coffee. I love coffee, and Kohi is sort of a misspelling of the Japanized version for the word of coffee, which is Kohi, but it's spelled Koohii, I believe. So it's pronounced Kohi in Japanese, and I just took it and kind of returned it into English, and that's essentially where I wound up with it, right? Because if I left the two O's in there, it wasn't going to be immediately obvious on how to pronounce it. Do I just like coffee, or am I an aficionado? I mean, I don't know if I'd call myself an aficionado, but I do have an espresso machine. I don't like, I'm not a fan of like cheap coffee, unless I'm really hard up for it. You have a flat burr grinder and do V60 pour overs? Yeah. So we have a separate burr grinder that we use for flavor coffees, and then we also have our espresso machine has a grinder on top of it. So yeah, I guess I'm a bit more of a coffee nerd then. Don't let him lie. Watched him drink Folgers. You know what was there at the office? Soupe was what was it, like 3 or 4 years old with expired with expired creamer, something like that. Aficionado confirmed. It was like 3 years old. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty terrible. Drink is not the right word for that. All right, so let's see. Let's see how this blows up. Blew up. Sweet. That's because current object is null. Nice. All right, so how did we wind up there? Token type identifier. So what is the token? Where are we? First off. Nodes. Interesting. So this might actually be... So let me think. We would have... We didn't get an error here. So the stack peak should have given us... Did we do that wrong? I think I still need to do a breakpoint here. See, we wouldn't have even hit that yet, though. So how is current object? Current object is null. Didn't we set, though? Oh, no, we didn't, did we? Wait. We set it here. Oh, but we shouldn't do... I see what the problem is. I think. It shouldn't technically matter because I don't think it would have gone out of scope, but this should be here. Right, so essentially, the stack should never be empty until we hit the end of the file. Actually, the stack should never be empty. We should have one element left when we get to the end of the file. Soupe. Yep. Soupe is a good buddy of mine, by the way. If you guys haven't already, he's trying to grow his channel, actually. So he's a new streamer, but he's a good guy, and I highly recommend that you follow him. So I'm going to toss him a shout out, because Soupe is an awesome dude. Highly recommend following his channel. He's starting a new gaming channel, and he's super entertaining to listen to. So, and he's a buddy of mine. I can't not promote him. Just feels wrong, you know? Gotta help a guy out. Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. Let's see. Okay, we're going to have ads here in a second, so I just want to check. So our base object gets pushed. We take... You know what? Let's do away with this. We're just going to have a single root object, right? That's the way we're going to do it. Means we have to kind of do some stupid stuff, but that's fine. So let's do this. we do need a base object. So instead of doing that, we're going to say, actually, we're going to say tree root. Was it not tree? I thought it was. I think it's out tree. I'll bet it is. Yeah, out tree. Doclock, you have babies, so you don't have a set schedule. Just try to stream as often and as much as possible. That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm also gonna... I am going to give a shout out also. Actually, I think I have to wait anyways. I think it makes you wait before you can give another shout out. So we have ads, and I'll do it after that. So for those of you who are new to the channel, especially over on the YouTube side, we pause the stream once every 30 minutes for 90 seconds for ads, because that's how often they're served on Twitch. We don't want anybody to miss stuff. Singy, hello, over there on the YouTube side. How are you doing? Pro Gaming, good to see you. Best game engine dev in all of YouTube. I don't know about that, but I do appreciate the compliment. I try. I certainly try. Appreciate that, Pro Gaming. All right, so we got about 50 seconds left. So I would just say hydrate if you haven't already. Supe with the hydrate. Appreciate that, buddy. Almost done with ads. All right, cool. Ads are dead. So we just like to pause the stream for any folks that were served ads so that you guys don't miss any content. So we pause the stream for 90 seconds once every 30 minutes. And I put a timer on the screen to encourage you guys to hydrate. It's very important. So I try to promote that as best I can. So all we're going to do is just replace all these base objects with out tree root, right? We're going to have a single root object. Oh, we don't even need this DRA push anymore. Let's see. So the current object is just going to be the address of out tree root. We push the root onto there. So I guess it's kind of the same thing. I guess we don't really have to worry about that too much. Oh, we should be pushing the address of current object. That's the issue, I think. Because we're pushing pointers to these things, not the objects themselves. I'll bet you anything that is probably the issue. So maybe that will be enough to fix it. We'll have to change our debugger to look at that differently as well, but that's not a big deal. All right, so let's go ahead and debug. All right, let's see. Why do we have a breakpoint there? You know what? Let's go. Why do we have a breakpoint there? What's going on here? Okay. So, parser tokens. Let's change. Let's change these guys. This is going to be tree root. There's no longer more than one root. Because what I was thinking there is maybe we have just a flat list of objects, but it kind of makes sense to just bury everything under one object and make it recursive. So, I'm pretty sure that this is going to work the way that I need it to. So we do that. That's the popped object. That's an array. So let's see. The current object right now is an array, right? That makes sense. And so let's see, we're doing bracket close. So that's got to be bracket close. That's probably going to be this one, I think, is the first one that we're actually hitting. So let's see, current object type array. Looks like name is null, which is kind of expected. But also it doesn't look like it has any properties in it because this is all completely zeroed out. So we may not have done that correctly. But let's see what the current object is. We just peeked on that. Type unknown. So the object has name and then sponza. Okay, so where is that in the scene? That's here. So we've popped and gone back to this object. So, okay, that actually does make sense because what that means is that we hit this token here. This was sort of our object scope, which was an array, which should have put us back here, which it did, right? So we have name and attachments. So let's do current object properties, and we'll do, I don't know, 5. That's what we have. All right, so if we list those out, we have name and attachments. And it looks like things got foobar after that. So I'm guessing when it went to go put the... I'm guessing we might be missing a scope pop or something here. So if we do current object properties, and we want sub 1, and then what's that going to be? Let's see, what do we have here? So we have attachments, right? That's the attachments object, which is an array of objects. So again, our property type is unknown. It's not being set correctly there. The value of that is our actual array, so that's correct. So we can just change this to, whoops, we can change this to value.o. And then if we look at value O, we have the type array. The properties in it should be a single object, and it's not. It's null. Okay, so what this means is at this level where we have an array of objects, something is not being added correctly, which makes me also wonder what the stack looks like. Because I'm thinking that that's probably not right either. Let's see. I find it ironic that the bind group in WebGPU is more descriptive than descriptor set in Vulkan. Descriptor set is a very esoteric term. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, yes and no, because descriptor sets have bindings, right? So I see your point, though. Root signature. Okay, so what we really need to determine is what happens So current object was current object is an object name Sponza. So the current object is this guy. So that makes me wonder what's going to happen when we hit this. Okay. So when we do this, curly brace close, we pop from the scope, and then we peek, and that becomes the current object. What do we do? Do we do the same thing with curly brace open as curly brace? There's bracket open, I should say. That's the next question. Let's split this view real quick. And we'll put curly brace open here at the top. And we'll put bracket open at the bottom. All right, so we're just going to kind of move down to the code itself. All right, so we create a new object, set the type, create a properties array, push to the current property, making sure there's an array first. Sugziul, I appreciate the follow. Thank you. Welcome. Hope you're doing well tonight. Let's see. So we push the object onto the current properties value. Yeah, I mean, this code is almost exactly the same, like verbatim. Let me push the current object onto the stack. So that should be fine. So I wonder why. Let's look at scope. And we want, let's see, memory. Scope.memory. Right, and that is an array of JSON objects. JSON object pointers, actually. Right, and we want to say that's an array of, I don't know, 10. So this is what our stack looks like currently. So this should be the current object, which has type. Oh, that's interesting. So our current object is what? Has name and Sponza. So according to this, our current object, after we have, where are we in the, right, we've just done a close bracket, right? So we're essentially, we've done this one. This would have been the first one we hit. So the only things that we would have processed would be name and attachments at this point, not the rest of this stuff. Oh, that makes sense, actually, because that's why we didn't have the rest of these filled in. But then attachments, value object properties are null. So where do those properties go? I wonder if I should just let this parse the rest of the way and then try and look at what it actually gave me as a result. I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's just continue. All right, and look at, let's do, so our tree root is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 properties. Let's take a look at sub2. So property sub2, value O. Right, so that's going to be our array. Get rid of this. Right, so our array is here, our properties. Has no name, which makes sense. So this didn't make it into the nodes. Right, because tree root properties 2 should be this guy. All right, in fact, if we do that, in fact, I'm just going to do this. Oh, we already have that. Let me kill this one. Right, we have our tree root properties here. Test properties, nodes, and foo. So it's at least correct at the base level. So properties, let's get rid of these two. Tree root properties. Sub 1. And let's say that that's, I don't know, 2. Wait. Properties. Oh, I want sub 2, not sub 1. Right, so type is unknown. We have nodes as the name, and then its value is an array. And then its properties yeah, so this array has nothing in it for some reason. And I don't know where those wound up. When we open this array should essentially become that object, right? And then when we do this, that should get pushed as a property of this object, as an object itself. So I don't think we've quite done that correctly. I don't need this double view anymore. All right, so if we look at the open curly brace, maybe it's the current property that we're not setting correctly, right? let's think about this for a second. So nodes itself is a property. Its value is an object that's an array. Sugzeal, first time chat, welcome. How's it going? I should have probably split this up into functions, I'm thinking now. So if we have a bracket open, this is an object. We start an array. We push that into the current property's values. Where is current property set? After an identifier. And there, that's it. Yeah, so that's the problem. We're not setting current property correctly. Okay. So if we have, let me think about this for a second. So we're setting the current object when we open a curly brace. We push the current property that now has a value of this array. But technically that should also become the current property in that case for this guy. Does that make sense? So the current object is there. Current property value, 0. So we have a bracket open. We have... Oh, this is where I was thinking I was going to have to push another unnamed property. Okay, so the current property gets the array itself, which is sort of the parent object of the properties that we need to push. But that array should have properties, and each one of its elements is a property itself. So we do need to do something else here. So we push onto the current stack. We should probably do it after that. Add an unnamed property. An unnamed property for each. Think about this for a second. When we open an array, we need to have a property for each element of the array. Does that make sense? I don't know that that makes sense. My brain is having trouble wrapping my head around this morning, tonight. Feels like morning. Do I do it there or do I do it here? Because the thing that's funky about these arrays is that we could technically have right? We could technically have that. Have a separate container for array elements. That's what I'm thinking. Right? Because like these are properties. So like the array itself is an object, and then we insert these as properties of that object. So when we create the... Let's go back down here. So we start an array. We create an object of type array. We create a properties array for that. We make sure that the current property has... Wait a minute. This might be where we're going wrong. This might be where we're going wrong. We shouldn't be pushing. Oh wait, no, this makes sense. We have to push that to the current property. That does make sense. And then we set the current object to that, scoping us down. And then the current object itself should have these added as a property. So that means we don't change current property. I'm wondering if the current property thing is actually kind of screwing us by tracking that. You usually like strongly typed languages, so when I'm making a script, I wouldn't allow the rest of the element types to differ from the first element type. That is a restriction we could impose. I was trying to be loose with it, but you know, maybe that's something we could impose. Well, I don't know. Let me kill this for a second. Right? If we look at the syntax rules of this, and we say array, right? Oh, do I have to? I think I have to wrap this whole thing in. Right. Theoretically, I thought we could do yeah, you can. So this is what I was trying to kind of support, right? Which theoretically shouldn't be that difficult. I think once I get the scoping thing figured out, like, this will just kind of work. So when we have a current property, so when does current property change? technically speaking, if we have a bracket open, we should be expecting some sort of value, one way or another. Right? We shouldn't be expecting an identifier. We shouldn't be expecting any of that kind of stuff. It should just be some sort of value. An expect value. Let's see, if we have a, let's say a string token, right? A string literal. String literal puts it into current property, which is not right. Theoretically, this should check to say, hey, are we inside of an array? So if current object type equals case and object type array, then we need to use the value. Actually, I should say apply the value directly to a newly created non-named property that gets added to current object. That makes sense. And then otherwise, we add it to the current property. Right, so what we'd need to do here is case and property, new property, I guess I could just call it P equals, right, we'll just zero that out, and then we'll say P dot type equals property type string, and then value is equal to this kind of sucks, but I'm going to actually, this should be value.s. I'm going to repeat myself here. Right, and then we're going to say p dot name equals 0, unnamed. And then we'll do current object, or we'll do darray push current object properties, and then we'll push that property. I think that's done it. I think that makes sense. And then we just basically repeat that for any other type of property. So Boolean will be another easy one. String to bool, token string. Wait a minute, are we literally just we're literally just parsing this and then doing nothing with it. That's awesome. Okay, so I think we're basically going to follow the same pattern. Right, so if the current object is an array, push it as a Boolean. We'll do result, I guess. Oh, wait a minute. Current property. That's where we're doing it. Okay. Let's actually, instead of writing this directly to current property value, let's do bool value, right? And then we'll write to bool value, right? And then the value will be bool value, and bool value. Right? So here we create a new property and add it to the current object if we're in an array. If we're not in an array, we push it to the current property. That makes more sense. Right? And then I don't actually need this here. I can just do that. Right? I guess let's just default this to false, just in case. Okay, so that covers booleans and strings. New line. This is going to be where we detect numeric literals, so we're going to need to handle that here. Let's see. What about arrays of value? See, I was thinking about this already before. So here we're just putting the thing directly to current property value. So we're going to need to hinge our logic a little bit. So let's do f32 f value and I32 I value. Right, and then we'll take this and put it down here. Comment here, we set the numeric parse string state. Okay, so here, I really don't want to have to repeat myself on this, but I think I'm going to have to. Yeah, all right. It is what it is. If we are a number, though, we can split some of this stuff up. So we can do this. Create the new property up here, except for that bit. And then say number. Maybe we don't wind up using it, but that's fine. So we have f value here. So here we can say p dot value f equals f value. And then here we'll say p dot value dot I equals I value. I suppose we don't need to split out the f and I values anymore. We could probably just... no, we do need that split out. Okay, undo. Right, and then we'll say yeah, I guess we can set it either way and then get it afterwards. So here we would set one or the other here, whichever one's relevant. And then if it's an object type array, we would push that. Otherwise, its value. Can we set the whole thing? Just do that. I think that makes sense. Objects and arrays would also have this special case. For objects, I think we're good, actually. Because this seemed to be working just fine. I think it was arrays with stuff in it that was screwing it up, because it was trying to do current property all over the place instead of, which, speaking of which, I almost forgot to change this. F value. And this needs to be I value. Oh, that needs to be an I64. Okay. Okay, I think that makes sense. Okay, so that's numerics. So we've handled numeric strings and booleans. Objects are also going to have this, like you mentioned. Yeah, so, and I think that's the last thing that we have to handle. Except for nested arrays. Ooh, that could be a thing too. I wonder how that'll work. Nested arrays might be nasty. Okay, so let's look at curly brace open first. Right, so we're pushing the current property here, but we might not want to necessarily do that. So this is where that would go, is here. So in this case, we would have a new property whose type would be object. And then value O we basically have to do the same thing. Wait a minute, the same thing? No. Yeah, we create a new current object properties gets this pushed. Is that the object itself? Would this just be one? This would have to be darray creates case and object. Because value O is always assumed to be an array of objects. And then before we can push this, we would also have to do darray push p.value.o. And then we would push to that object. So push the object to the new properties object array. And then we push it to add the property to the current object. And then this would replace this. Where we just push it to the current property. I think that makes sense. But yeah, technically speaking, we would need to do the same thing for the array. Because theoretically, we could have nested arrays, right? So when we open this, right? When we open a new one, we can also have an array inside of that. Which I think this logic would actually be the same in both cases. Push the current property, and this is just a duplicate of what's already down there, so we can actually get rid of that. I think. I think that's right. You meant objects and arrays and arrays and arrays? Yeah, we should theoretically be able to nest them both as many times as we want, in theory. So the arrays is like the sort of exception case. All right, let's get rid of that breakpoint and okay, didn't blow up, so that's good. This is also good. So let's look at our file here. So we have test prop right there, properties, nodes. We are missing this guy, which is a little bit weird. But we have these three, so that's interesting. The other thing that's interesting is the type is wrong. Oh, I think I know what the type thing is. Hold on, I think that's a copy pasta. Bracket open, curly brace open. Nope, that's property array. Oh, did I do this too many times? Let me think about this for a second. So we have the so if we're pushing an array onto an array, yeah, I think that's right. All right, let me rerun this. All right, so we'll take tree root properties sub 2, which is this nodes. I don't know why that's coming across as property type number. We'll have to look at that separately. So the value itself does have an array in it. Object type array. Properties within that. The first thing was a number, which is this guy here. So I guess let's do tree root properties 0. Let's do value. .o, I think it was, and then properties. It's going to be this. Actually, I think I can do o.properties. And then let's do a count of, I think there's 3 in there. Did I get that wrong? Might have. Value O. That doesn't seem right either. So this is nodes. Its value should only have an array in it. I think it does. Okay. So this should be, we should be looking at sub 1 here. Nodes. Yeah, the first one should be a number. What the heck? Oh, wait, no. Wait a minute. Did I get... Why is nodes a number? It's almost like this shifted upwards. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a simpler array here at the very top. And name rubbish. Right, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to rename it something else. Objects. Actually, let's do mixed array. And then I'm going to get rid of all this other crap so I can see what I'm looking at. So we're going to want the first of that. Why is this bleating? Did I forget to shut it down or something? Be interesting if it doesn't like that as the first. Yeah, it doesn't like that as the first one. So this might actually make it a little bit easier to debug. All right, so let's see the call stack. Major malfunction. Thank you for the subscription over on YouTube. Appreciate that. Welcome. Oh, Raz, how's it going, bud? Good to see you in the YouTube side over there. What's going on, man? Well, why is this failing? That's interesting. It didn't even hit this breakpoint. What failed? Oh, here we go. Yeah, we got some failures in here. Tokenization failed. Well, yeah, that's not right. Okay. Why? Did I do something stupid here? I don't think I did. So my tokenization failed, and that's why it never hit that. Okay. So I guess I need to do another breakpoint. Here. Just working on your junior project. Awesome. You suddenly hate making integration tests. Welcome to development, my friend. I feel your pain on a daily basis. Did I put a colon instead of equal? You are absolutely right. What a dongus. See, I'm so used to writing JSON that throws me off. I really do need an LSP for this to catch that kind of issue. Once I get my parser working. All right. Worked. Okay. So we should be unexpected string token at position 59. Okay. That I can work with. So position 59. I'm guessing that's here. So let's see. I think I know what's causing this, actually. So we're not expecting a value, but we should be because we're in an array. So when we are well, first of all, when we have bracket open, that means we're in an array. So we expect value true. So that should always be the case. However, when we close the bracket, we should then check the current object. So we'll say expect value equals current object dot type equals case and array or case and object type array. Right? Because we would expect a value if we are still in an array, if they're nested. Otherwise, we would not. All right. We're going to have ads here in a second, by the way. Oh. Have to shut this down before I can build. I keep forgetting on Windows you can't do that. Are you making a shader language? No, I'm making a storage format for a bunch of things, really, but I needed a nested storage format for like a hierarchy of objects in a scene. So I'm putting together a language based around that for now. It may eventually evolve into a scripting language, but for now it's just a storage format. Okay. Unexpected string token again. Okay. Oh, we have ads. So for those of you who are new to the stream, I like to pause the stream whenever ads come up, which on Twitch is once every half an hour for 90 seconds. So I encourage you guys to, get some water or something like that, hydrate, take a bio break, whatever you need to do. And I put a timer up on the screen so that you guys know exactly how long we have left. Rod Cabral, thank you for the follow over on the Twitch side. We're almost done with ads. Well, I should say we're about halfway through it. We got about 40 seconds left. A little over halfway through. Almost done with ads. All right, ads are dead. So, we keep hitting this unexpected token at this position. So why is my question. So current token is string. So it is this first guy here that we're hitting. So why would that be unexpected, right? We've entered the array. Oh, I'll bet we're turning it off after we parse a number. I bet that's what it is. So after we do, there's a couple things we're going to have to do in here, actually. After we process a numeric literal, actually the processing finishes at new line for that one, so we skip that one for now. String literal, if we're in an array, we go ahead and push that, and then we're setting expect value to false here. That is not what we should be doing. If we are in an array, we should not be doing that. So this is actually going to wind up being the same thing. So this is going to be expect value equals current object type equals case and object type array. Right, because if we're just adding a property to an already existing object, which is the only way we could get here, then that's what we're looking for. So there's that one. Boolean is going to do the same thing, although I don't think we're actually shutting that off for this one. Not expect value. Yeah, we weren't turning that off, so that actually needs to be fixed. Right, and speaking of that, we should actually probably also let's plug a Boolean in there too, right? Let's see. So we've got that. New line is where we're handling a numeric. So in this case, we're going to do the same thing again with expect value. And expect identifier is going to be the opposite of this. So it's going to be not expect value. All right, and we can get rid of this to do because we're handling that now. Okay. I think the only other thing is, let's see, on close token, on close bracket token rather. Where is it? Identifier, bracket close. Here we go. We have that check there, so that's good. On close brace, we do not have that check. We should. Right, so if the current object's an array, we should expect another value. Okay. All right. Let's let it rip. So we should be good in this case, actually. I'm going to put a breakpoint here just in case we hit it again, but... What? Why, though? What? Mesmeroth, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the support. Token string. Oh. We don't always use token string here, do we? Current token. No, that's there. Oh, is our Boolean logic borked? Because we haven't actually tested that. We haven't tested a Boolean yet, so it's possible. Highly possible that I screwed something up. Token string. Oh, why am I holding on to this from down here? That should go away much sooner. Let me... Oops. Let's see, that was down here towards the bottom, I believe. Yeah, Boolean, here we go. This can go there. Current token. Okay, so all we do is extract the token from there. That should be fine. File content. We extract that out to Boolean value from the token string. Current token starts. Yeah, that should all be good. Let's just do another clean build. Just because I don't trust it. Oh no, is there a file lock on something? I hate when that happens. Windows is really bad about that. Just randomly holds file locks on stuff. I have to kill my debugger, I think. Why? Really need to get my Windows install back up and running. Sorry, my Linux install. There we go. Okay. Hello? Windows. That's neat. So my Windows terminal has just hung. That's pretty cool. You would think that your OS would like operate. It's kind of its name, right? Basic terminal things. Basic moving around files, deleting files, and it just fails. Inexplicably. And now it's just holding a process open. All right. Well, that might be the end of the stream tonight. You're failing to log on to Microsoft's website. So they're failing on all fronts tonight. Windows not sucking? Preposterous. Yeah, exactly. And now, like, I can't even open a terminal in that directory at all. Like, what? Bizarre. Totally bizarre. Yeah, none of my build process is launched now. Okay. Well, let me try. I guess relaunching NeoVim. I don't think that's going to help, but it's like Explorer just completely pooped itself. Love when that happens. Okay. Well, that's alarming. Why am I getting problems with mutexes? What is going on? It really does not like this for some reason. And again, we come back to here, right? Oh, you know what? I'll bet I know what it is. I'll bet I know what it is. I'll bet it's the way that we're actually so it's not that. Is it in the tokenization? String to bool. No, it's not. It's not that comparison. That's not doing anything from it. From token. Tokenize. Let's go to the bottom here. And I think we'll advance for, okay, so this is where we're actually tokenizing that thing, right? So bool token. We're not doing anything funky here. String from token. Current token. All right, what does that token look like is my next question. So let's go, let's see, what line was that? 756. Let's do this guy right here. This is actually an untested token type, so I'm not completely surprised that it's messed up. So the content is true, in quotes. That should be like this 4, that makes sense. So we allocate a string enough to be able to set a 0 terminator at the end of that. All right, so if I just come over here, like this shouldn't be that big of a deal. Let's look at 5 characters. Right, T-O-R-E, no terminator. Okay. Then we do string to bool. Right, we set B. Right, so B is true because it was equal to true. Oh, wait a minute. We're returning this as opposed to a result. That's not the way the rest of the functions work. That's a bug. That's definitely a bug. This should be true for success. True if parsed successfully, otherwise false. That was a bug. Because we were returning the parsed value, not success or false, or failure. So that would have been a bug if we actually had false. There. Okay. It's token string. Nothing funky going on there. The Boolean was flipped to true. Okay. It's failing on the mutex lock, which I really don't understand. must have trampled some memory somewhere. Where, I don't know. All right, well, unfortunately, I'm out of time for tonight. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave a note here. Something is causing a seg fault here. Memory getting trampled. I really need to put like bounds checks in my allocator at one of these junctures. I'm going to make a session. And what I'll do is I'll push my progress tonight. So these are the things that we fixed, or worked on at least. So get add, get commits. Work in progress. Case and parsing. Added debug token display. Fixed various scoping issues. All right. So that is going to do it for tonight's stream. Thank you all for joining me. Let's have a look and see who we can raid. Let's see. Yeah, I was kind of hoping Pirate Software would still be on because he was actually still on when I started streaming. I was going to raid his channel, but he is not on. So let's see. Just having a look through who is streaming at the moment. I think for tonight, actually, what I'm probably going to wind up doing I'm going to raid Alvea Sanctuary because it is a non-profit animal rescue, and they've got all kinds of really interesting animals, and I think it's an excellent cause. And so that is who we are going to be raiding tonight. It's run by some really awesome people, and like I said, it's not for profit. So yeah, it's I will actually link this over on the YouTube side for you guys as well. But yeah, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you guys so much for following along. If you haven't already, follow me on the YouTube side and on the Twitch side. The follows and whatnot, and subs and whatnot really help me grow the channel. So I appreciate you guys very much, and the support and all of that. And then I'll also drop a link to my socials there so that you guys have that as well. Follow me in the places, and yeah, I'll see you guys. I should be raiding back here tomorrow night. So I'll see you guys then. See ya.